Good evening, gamers. Today we are doing a video that is not something that I normally do. It is going to be a overview of the TDD Summer Bingo, hosted by yours truly, Juan, not me. Juan's a beast. We're so happy that he put on this event. Um, Today we are going to actually get some interviews with some of the captains. The event has since concluded. I'm going to show you on the screen right here what the example bingo board is. This took place the first couple weeks of August 2025. All right, now that you are able to look at the board, it is a 7x7 board. So there are 49 total tiles. Um, there are line bonuses and row and column bonuses. So the one unique thing about this bingo is that everybody's board was randomized. So this is just all the tiles that could be on the board, but the layout of which your tiles are really just was up to RNG. So for this bingo, there were a set amount of side challenges, and with those side challenges, you were able to you get coins, and those coins were able to buy like an easy mode for each of the tiles. Above on the screen right now is some of the things that could be bought with the coins. And there was actually a set schedule for those challenges. The challenges were every other day after the first weekend. So there was, I believe, 7 opportunities for you to do a side challenge, and every person on your team that did the side challenge got you 5 coins. How the side challenges were ranked, though, there was a different difficulty per side challenge. So the team that's in first place would have the hardest side challenge, and the person that was in last place would have the easiest side challenge. Moving on to the draft. Here are the results of the draft. There were 72 people that signed up for this bingo. This bingo was very unique. There was no buy-in, but we still had a huge pot. The pot for winning the bingo was right around 1.4 bill. On screen are the list of people that have donated to this bingo. I just want to say thank you again to everybody that did put some of their hard-earned GP into the prize pool. It really gives people a reason to grind out for these bingos, and it's always greatly appreciated. Hello, Gizzy, leader of the Gizzy Goozers. Thank you for taking some time out of your day to come on for an interview. I'm excited to pick your brain to kind of hear what you have to say about your team's performance and just the bingo overall. Um,
Absolutely.
Starting off, is this your first bingo being a captain? And if not, what bingos have you been a captain for?
Yeah, so it's my third bingo that I've been team captain in. The first one was the One Tick Man's bingo. In that bingo, I got, I believe it was second place. And then the second bingo I was in was Bong Cloud's bingo, where I got first place. So this is my third bingo as captain.
Wow, you got some history of being in the top 3 every bingo you've been in.
I mean, the results speak for themselves, Mantis. Exactly right.
All right. Leading up to the draft, did you have any idea of what picks you wanted to make? What are some of the key factors that may have led to your decisions?
Yeah, so this is a good question, and I'm not gonna give my secret sauce to you, Mantis. I'm sorry, but some
Fair
of the things I
enough.
gotta keep in the back pocket. But yeah, you know what I will share is that I always go into the bingo with the plan. I always, try and rank a whole ton of the picks I'm planning on. Some of the things I do look at are obviously performance in past bingos is a really big factor because you do have people that will be pretty dormant and then just go very, very hard with bingo, right? And then go back to like blogging in for an hour a day, right? So I definitely take into account that. I just take into account overall it's vibes as well, right? Who's fun to be around, who's fun to play with, and definitely balance those two categories. Um, but yeah, talked a little bit about this over text, but I think the real key to my success being a team captain is that I just have a very in-depth knowledge of the clan, right? And I like to say it's not the first round pick that wins you the bingo. It's your eighth round pick, it's your ninth round pick, right? It's knowing the depth of the clan. It's knowing those key players who are just really big gamers, but just who aren't on everyone's radar because maybe they're quiet in the clan, maybe they don't post in Discord. And I think if someone wants to be a successful captain, the best advice I can give them is just be active in the clan, right? Just show up to other events, take note of who's doing what, and the more active you are, the better your team's going to be. Simple as that.
Very nice, very nice. I also heard a rumor that there is a bingo shit list floating around. People have been keeping track of certain people's performance. All right, moving on to the next question. Did you enjoy the side challenges? The side challenges made up a pretty big part of this bingo, I feel like. Do you think they're a huge part of your team's success, or do you think it was one of your downfalls, wasting time on some of those challenges?
Yeah, it definitely wasn't a part of our success because we had the lead the vast majority of the competition. So it was constantly working against us, right? And I constantly was aware our team has the least amount of coins to be spending in the shop. So it was definitely a factor. But despite that, right, despite always having pretty much the worst challenge, right, the worst setup, whatever it is, our team still had fun with it. I still thought it was a really fun idea. I thought Juan did a really good job balancing each the side challenges where it wasn't like we were just completely screwed over and just didn't have any chance, right? Every one of those side challenges, I felt our team had a chance, and honestly, it was a really fun part of the entire bingo because constantly I had some of my teammates that just initially thought like, "There's no way in hell I can do this, right? There's no way in hell I can do a melee only Jad, six inventory spots since our team had the 22 spades in our inventory." And I would just push people. I would believe in them and they would give it a shot. And then oftentimes they would get it done. So it was really rewarding, right? To see people surprise themselves, right? And people to kind of realize, oh, wow, like I actually can do this. So yeah, right. Long story short, absolutely. I thought it was a fun idea. It's not something I necessarily want to see in every single bingo competition moving forward because it does kind of you do spend a lot of time doing these challenges rather than just actually completing the bingo board. But I thought it was fun. I thought it was success. I definitely don't mind seeing these come back from time to time.
Very nice, very nice. I've heard similar feedback. Now, moving on to question number 4, where did you feel your team got lucky? Do you feel like your team went dry anywhere specifically? Do you feel like you guys got pretty spooned anywhere? Um, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, the interesting thing about our bingo was that we got very lucky early on. So we spooned the corpse sigil. We had really good luck at Tob and Toa. We had very few dupes. Purples were just raining in at Tob. It was honestly a bit unreal seeing how lucky our team got at Tob.
Yeah, I'm a little jealous of that one.
Yeah, which is funny, because our like we didn't even really have a full top team going into the competition. We did spend a few days sending some practice runs, but tonight was brand new to top pretty much. Prudence was had very limited KC. So that was actually a really fortunate area for us to get lucky in. And then yeah, right. Probably one of the most iconic moments of the bingo was we had spent the entire evening trying to get the Void Awaker hilt from Callisto, right? I think we had spent something like maybe like 4 or 5 hours there in a single night, right? 8 or 9 of us sending Callisto constantly. And I think we almost hit the entire drop rate in that one session, but didn't get lucky. Everyone went to bed, like everyone was kind of sad. And then it was just Balls and I left. And we're like, well, what can we do? Because at this point, it was the end of the bingo. There was only a couple tiles. It was Volcano, Nightmare, or Nex. right? And out of those three things, it's pretty much we can only do really, really like one thing, and that was try and send a volcano run. So we sent a volcano run as a duo, and Mantis, it was the most miserable volcano of my life. It was 5 phases, first of all. I
Oh
thought they had
no.
made it a lot easier, right? But I guess that was just for big teams where now you can one down it. But if you're rolling with two people, it's still miserable. Took us over 10 minutes, 5 downs. As Volcano was dying, I was about to tell Balls, like, we got to get out of here. Like, this is just a complete waste of time. And that with that one KC we did, we got the Crystal Tool Seed.
Wow.
So that was
Insane.
insanely hype. Yeah,
We
huge boost to the team.
personally
How did,
did actually get pretty lucky at Volcano. I think we sent a total of 30 minutes of Volcano total, the
yeah,
whole bingo.
that
Um
was one of my favorite clips from your video, actually. So yeah, I remember that.
all right.
But yeah,
Oh,
where we went unlucky because we did go unlucky a couple places. So before we move on, next we went insanely unlucky at next, Mantis. And I know you were saying you felt like you had done a shit ton of next, right? You felt like you had spent like insane amounts of time at next. Dude, we went triple the drop rate. I think you did when I took a look at your EHB. I think you did like around like 30, 35 necks or so. We did over 120 necks.
I didn't log out
Um,
before bingo ended. It didn't get my whole
okay,
6 hour log
okay.
of necks. I did I
That's
think
fair. Okay,
82
that's
on
fair.
the tracker. But
82
yes.
on the track. Okay, so that's fair. That's fair. But yeah, we did go super insanely dry at next. And then the whole last 2 days we were sending pretty scale the chambers as well, 15-man scales. And we basically didn't see any purples there, despite having like 25% chance, 33% chance to pull purples. That honestly was kind of that pissed me off because we had the one tile left, right? And we just couldn't get the bingo done. So that's gonna haunt my dreams a little bit. That's not gonna lie.
Yeah, we got lucky at Chambers, you got lucky at Tob. Tob was just doomed for us. Chambers was doomed for you. It's just
Yep.
kind of how the
Yeah.
bingo goes.
It all
Sometimes
balances
you
out
get
somewhere.
lucky, sometimes you don't get lucky. All
Yep.
right,
100%.
moving on. What was your favorite part of your team? I know you shared some graphics with me ahead of time that will show on screen now. They're honestly pretty
Absolutely.
hilarious. I'm excited for
Yeah, dude.
everybody to see them.
Yeah, dude, the one with me in the chair, I absolutely love that. With all the screens pulled up, right? How does Gizzy win bingo? That was made by our team member Sep8. I thought that was absolutely genius. But yeah, to answer your question, right? Favorite parts of the bingo is really just playing with people that I never play with, right? Being in voice together, sending content that one never send, and then with people that I never really talk to, never really send content with. That's what bingos are all about, right? Is actually getting to know these people, sending content with them, making those memories. Maybe it sounds a little bit cheesy, but that's really what these competitions are all about, right? Is bringing the clan together, making some new friends, and making some memories.
Very true. Um, Now I'm going to move on to our bonus question of the day. Do you have any feedback that you'd like to share or any points that you would like to make about this bingo? Anything that might help in further events, possibly?
Yeah, so first off, I just want to give a big shout out to everyone who donated to the event. And I know you already mentioned that as well. Everyone who donates are what make these events possible, right? So if you spent some of your hard-earned GP, threw that in the bingo pot, thank you for doing that. You're an absolute gamer, you're absolute G for doing that. Big shout out to my boy Juan as well for just setting up a great event. You know, already gave him some props with the side challenges. I thought that was very, very well done. He made it very, very it's professional feeling. And yeah, I think that's about it. Obviously, I look forward to competing against everyone in the next event. Hope everyone had a good time, and good luck out there with everyone's drops.
All right. Thank you, Gizzy, for taking the time out of your day once again to just let me pick your brain a little bit and get some more feedback on what other people felt during the event. Um,
Absolutely, absolutely. Before I go, Mantis, I just gotta say, if you're not subscribed to Mantis's YouTube channel, you gotta subscribe. Let's get Mantis's sub count closer to mine, okay?
Thank you, Beast.
Absolutely, man. Take care.
Hello, Cart Mini, leader of the Cum Cartel. Thank you for taking time
Hi.
out of your day to come on for a quick little interview to see how your experience was with the bingo. Um, we're going to start it off. Is this your first time being a captain? If not, what bingos have you been a captain for?
No, this is my first time being a captain. Usually, I was always just like one of the players, a couple time getting picked in previous bingos, but yeah, first time being captain.
All right. Leading up to the draft, did you have any idea of what picks you wanted to make or any key factors that led to some of your decisions on your picks?
Oh man, I had everything sorted. I knew who I was gonna pick, and I had my backup picks ready, and I had backup picks ready, all that. And that all got thrown out of the water when Mrs. Wan rolled the order on which everybody was going to pick, and I was second to last for drafting people. So naturally, all of my first round and second round picks were scooped up right in the first. So
Wow.
I did not get the team that I had originally planned on, but the team that I ended up with, honestly, is like one of my favorite teams I've ever had during a bingo in the clan because these guys just ended up melding together. Nobody was like down and out, even though we were hanging out in the final places, like fourth and fifth and sixth for a first few days. They never got down and they were just like going at it. And they were also really eager to learn new content too, and they just grinded. And we melded well together. I can't think of a single night during those 2 weeks for bingo that our voice chat channel wasn't full of at least 6 or 7 people deep. And when I was logging off at 10, 11 p.m., those guys were still going on. And I was getting Discord notifications all the way to like 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. I'd
Wow.
look over at my phone. Oh no, these guys got that drop! Holy cow! So it was really good. So wasn't the team I wanted, but it was a really good team, and I think the rest of the team would also argue that it was one of the better teams. We really melded together.
Yeah, I feel like one of the big things with like these clan bingos, we just have such a good community. Like even if you don't get who you want to be on your team, like you can still work with them and like it's really nice just being able to like meet new people in these bingo activities. All right, that
Oh
actually
yeah,
can segue us into our next question a little bit. This bingo was a little bit different. We had some side challenges. Did they play a huge part of your team's success or failures? Did you have to like motivate some people to try some of them out, maybe?
honestly, speaking to that second part, the guys were all about getting those side challenges done, and especially with like the Fasani's challenge, where probably half the people who I had drafted onto my team had never even done Fasani's at all. So there was a lot of first KCers. They took the challenge, they accepted it, and went right in, and they did really well. As for the success, into our winning plan. Um, the side challenges didn't really play much of a role into that. Now, it did help us buying those easy tiles, where, man, you're going to go to Coliseum and you need to get all those pieces. Well, it's doable, but we only had 2 weeks. We had a giant bingo board to get through. So it was nice having those side challenges where you could make a tile easier by limiting how many drops you needed to complete that tile. So I did like the side challenges. I think in the future, being able to limit those side challenges, maybe gatekeeping them with some harder challenge content, honestly, maybe even something that takes people directly away from bingo related drops and sending them somewhere else for the side challenge. Let's say like Temperos or Wintertot, where typically we wouldn't have like a PVM drop from there. And so now that team has to make a decision. Okay, do we spend a couple hours there where we're not going to get any bingo board credit, but we're going to get these side challenges that we'll be able to capitalize on later? I think taking them away from the actual bingo board and then putting them somewhere else. It's a it's a give and take, right? You're either gonna complete the challenge and then be able to buy an easy tile, or you're just gonna go try to get a bingo drop instead. So I think having that sort of setup may have played a little bit better, but the way Juan did it, it was the first time that we had done anything like this. I think it worked out really well, and the feedback I got from the guys on the team, they all really liked it. That melee challenge with the fight cave. The guys had a lot of fun with that. By the second to last set of challenges, we didn't even participate because we'd already gotten all the challenge points that we could have possibly earned and spent all of the ones that we could have possibly earned throughout the entire bingo. So we didn't even really participate in the last few challenges just because we didn't really need to.
Very nice. Yeah, there's a lot of different content on them that would actually help you with the bingo board. Like for Sani's, for instance, like I
Yep.
don't think anybody specifically got a nightmare drop on their challenge, Casey, but it was always a possibility. And then that was actually one of the challenges I really wanted to do, but I had like an hour span during that that whole 24-hour period that I could play, and I'm like, I'm not going to spend that whole hour going for this. I'm just going to
Uh-huh.
go do something else. Um,
Yeah.
all right, moving on. Your team did very well. You guys were in first place for a little bit. I remember seeing you guys come from almost the bottom of the board all the way up.
Yep.
Where do you
Hmm.
think your team got lucky? And do you feel like your team went dry anywhere or kind of got shafted by some sort of content?
Yeah, we got mega spooned at Corporeal Beast. It took us 15 minutes to get a sigil, so we were in and out. Um, that and the Coliseum, one of the ones that I was dreading because I was the only one on the team who had a quiver. So I was the only one who could really do Coliseum. So I went in and I figured, okay, with the drop rates here, this might take me a couple hours. It might take me a few days to get 3 Sunfire Fanatic pieces. So we bought the tile, so we only needed well, no, so we only needed to get 2 Sunfire Fanatic pieces. And oh, you know what? Actually, I don't know if there was. Do you remember if there was an easy tile for that?
Yes, yep, there was. I believe it lowered it down to two pieces instead of three. I can pull it up real
Okay,
quick.
gotcha. Regardless, we got the 2 pieces. I went into Coliseum and I made it to wave 7, boom. Sunfire Fanatic piece right there. Okay, all right, great. Claim it, boom, done. All right, got really lucky there. Next wave right after it, wave 6, Sunfire Fanatic piece, claimed it, and I was out of there. So what I thought was going to take me hours and hours and hours, maybe even days, was super easy. That and I think everybody else too with the Rev Weapon tile. That one's always really tough. That one kind of screwed us over, and the Void Waker really screwed us over too. We were in the wilderness for days, just absolutely getting hammered, anti PKing, and just trying to get that Void Waker piece. And Bong and the group really came through in the end. Getting their Void Waker pieces, and then Bong with the Rev Weapon there on like the fourth to last day.
I just want to say I spent 30 minutes at Revs and got the Avarice on the very first day. I saw the easy tile for it and I'm
God.
like, well, there's no reason for us to go to Revs anymore. We'll just buy this tile because I just know how much of a time commitment that tile is.
Amazing. And that you really spoon that for your team there. And it took us when I say the Rev Weapon took us most of the bingo. I know like Bong and I were spending like our daytime uh participation just at Revs and just not getting anything. We were doing Wildy Partner Slayer and just racking up all these points. We'd get like 1,500 points and then we'd just go all spend it, trying to get a rev task, and just it just happened. Eventually, it happened, but it took us too long. It took us away from a lot of content. What really shafted us was getting a Fang from TOA. Uh, Up until the last hour, we were sending TOAs. Just never got that Fang. Never. That and next we got a hilt. That kind of sucked because the hilt was excluded from the next unique drop table on the bingo board. And DT2 kind of shafted us a little bit too. We needed one more axe piece and we just weren't able to secure it.
Yeah, I can definitely agree with your pain on the next tile. I spent a whole 6 hour log before the end of the bingo at Nex doing
God.
trios for nothing. I think I had just myself had 82 or 85, I think, Nex Casey with nothing. We didn't even see one Nex item, and we had been sending it like
Ooh,
hardcore the last 2 days. Like I
that's
logged
rough.
in, did Nex, and that was it.
Uh, that's rough. I mean, our first night doing next, I taught everybody how to do it because I don't think anybody on the team had done small team next. Everybody had done like mass world KC, so I was teaching everybody how to do next. And one of the new guys, he pulled the hilt. First case he would go in there, so we were all stoked, but that didn't count for the tile. And then, we ended up getting like a group of 7 or 8 people in there. Somebody pulled the Torva helm, and yeah, great, we got it. Let's keep going. Then we sent every night after that night. So for like probably 4 or 5 nights, we would be at Nax, and we just didn't see anything the rest of the bingo. It was heartbreaking. It was terrible.
All right, now I'm going to move on to the final question we got for you. What was your favorite part of your team? Like, I know you had kind of dawned on this question a little bit, and then after
Mhm.
that, it would just be some feedback or anything you'd like to share with us about your guys' experience with the bingo.
Oh yeah, so like I said, my team was really great, and I think I tried to when my first picks got thrown out the window. Um, I thought to myself, you know what? At this point, I want to make a team that is just going to be full of people who can just get along. We can, have fun, right? Get drops along the way. And that I really think contributed well to the team dynamic. I mean, all of us were East Coast too, so that played really big into it. There was some strategy going into it. Aside from having my first picks completely blow up in my face and not being able to get them, I still tried to think of, okay, well, I know these guys are at TOA a lot, and I don't want to do TOA at all. So let me recruit these guys, and I know they'll do TOA. But yeah, I think the dynamic worked out. That was like the favorite part about my team. These guys, they were on all the time. We were always in VC. We were joking around each other with each other. I got a couple of my good buddies on the team there, and some guys who I had never even played with. So, there was a few guys who it was a little rough getting them in the content, but once they got comfortable with the group, they wanted to send and they were excited to send. So, welcome them with open arms. And I think that's a big part about this. A lot of us really focus on winning, and some of us get a little, butt hurt over, okay, man, you're not pulling your weight, or, you need to focus on this. Well, you can only control that to a certain extent. People get burnt out. Everybody's just, we're all just people trying to enjoy a game that we love, right? So at the end of the day, if you can just get people out there to join you in group content, I mean, that's part of being a captain. You might have to just lead by example, get out there in the content that you don't want to do, and try to encourage other people to get out there and do it with you. And so that ended up working well for us. And yeah, by the end of the day, I still got these guys on my friends list, so that should say enough for you.
Very nice. Thank you, Cart. I appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule and stuff and finding time to talk with us.
Hey, no problem. Anything for Brother Mantis. My only regret is not being able to pick you sooner in the draft. Unfortunately.
Hello, T Snail, leader of the Jizz Frogs. Thank you for taking time out of your day to come on for an interview. I'm excited to pick your brain and hear what you have to say. Starting out, is this your first bingo being a captain? And if not, what bingos have you been a captain for?
It is not. I was also the leader of the Big Dick Bandits and the Monster Cock Mules in One Tick Mans and Bongs Bingo.
Hell yeah. Leading up to this draft, did you have any idea of what picks you wanted to make? Are there any key factors that led to your decisions?
Great question. I focused on players that give off a good vibe and their synergies with other players.
Gotcha. So you focused more towards maybe not the gamers per se, but the people that you would vibe with better.
Yes, and have the most fun playing with.
Gotcha. Did you enjoy the side challenges that were in this bingo? I know they made a huge difference compared to like recent bingos. Did they make a huge part to your team's success, or did it lead to some of the failures you may have had?
So I did enjoy the side challenges. My team's strategy was mainly centered around them. However, I did wish that they were available to all players. Based on the side challenges, some players were unable to attempt them. I would have liked to see everyone to be able to attempt it, but not everybody to be able to complete it. So for an example of that would be the melee only Jad challenge. I thought that was a really good one, as opposed to Sepulcher, where you need 92 agility or whatever the unlock is.
Yep. I kind of agree on that too. There was a couple of content on those side challenges that even on my team, there were like 3 or 4 people that just couldn't do it. Like the Inferno one was locked behind a fire cape, which we had a couple, or we had one person without a fire cape, which I guess that's achievable. But the Sepulcher one, like you're not going to be sitting there getting 92 agility if you don't have it mid bingo. Like it's just kind of off
Right,
limits for you.
right.
Um, Next question. Where did you feel like your team got lucky? And did you feel like your team went dry anywhere?
We got absolutely spooned at Corp, but unfortunately, we did go dry at Volcano.
How many Volcano kills did you guys end up having to do? I'm just curious.
I think we were at maybe 5 or 600 combined with the
Oh
team.
my gosh. This might make you a little upset, but our team spent a total of 30 minutes at Volcano the whole event. We got very lucky there.
That's awesome. It's always great to spoon something, especially in a bingo.
All right. And then the next question is what was your favorite part of your team in general? Please feel free to send some graphics or whatever, and I'll put them up on screen or any clips. I think you had already sent some clips, so we'll roll those after your interview.
Awesome. Yeah, definitely check out the clips. But my favorite part of my team was the camaraderie, just the fun times and laughs we had along the way. I feel like that's what makes these bingos so much fun is just getting together with your friends and just being able to send some group content.
Gotcha. And then I'm just gonna ask one little thing. Is there any feedback that you would like to share with us, or any points about this bingo that you would like to make?
Yeah, I would really like to see in the next bingo, I would like to see a small buy-in, maybe of 5 to 10 mil, for each player to pay into to buy in, which would be added to the prize pool. I feel like this would give a little incentive for players to play and give people some skin in the game, as you say.
Yeah, I heard that idea get bounced around, and some people had actually made a good point. Like some players might not be able to afford it, but to concur against that, there could be like an option for some people to like sponsor a person. Say somebody wants to do the bingo, but they don't have the GP, and they know somebody else that might be able to like sponsor them. Do you think that would be a good idea?
I do like the sponsor idea. I also think giving players an ample notice, right? It to provide the buy-in. I think even if you provide a low to mid-level player, say a month or maybe a month and a half, 2 months, to come up with 5 or 10 mil, I feel like you can camp Zulrah for a little bit. Zulrah's a pretty learner friendly boss and would be able to scrounge up at least a little bit. But I think for examples that for some people that might not have main accounts or I do think the sponsor idea is a great suggestion, and that could even I mean that's to be determined, but that could even come out of the prize. You know, if there's a 50 mil donation, that could be like 10 potential sponsors or 5 potential sponsors based on whatever the buy-in is.
Yeah, that's
So
a
I think that's a good
very,
option as well.
very good idea. And I have one last thing that I didn't send ahead of time. Can we get a "It's Your Boy"?
It's your boy Trout Snail.
Do you have your HP and prayer next to your inventory?
I just need you to be quiet for a minute, please. Just stay
Big
dead.
fucking crazy.
Oh, dude.
His name is Clay versus Net. And I have.
I mean, you didn't specify which type of clay. Like, could be soft clay, could be hard clay, could be this guy clay.
He has bats on him.
Dude.
Bats and salmon.
What is going on here? It's a conspiracy.
Oh, he's doing.
I like the fact that we have a cheerleader.
Does anyone have room for food?
I do. Yeah, I do. Why didn't you give it to me, dude?
Bass? Keep your fucking bass to yourself.
Yo,
dude.
he's got bass.
He gave me fucking bass, bro.
It kills 13.
What? Dude, give me a handful of cabbage.
Eventually, we will be going to next.
Oh my god.
I'm not saying during the bingo.
I can't. I can't, bro. I can't.
And we're going to next tomorrow after we finish up the raids tiles. Because we're complete.
Hey, I know you're mid-home, but what should I be sending? Where do you want me, though, is the question. Thomas is a.
All right, I want to start off by saying thank you, Juan, for organizing this event. I think I can speak on behalf of TDD, the community, that this bingo was one of the best and well received out of all the events we have done in the past. How long does an event like this actually take to prepare for, from like creating the board to organizing the graft, etc.? Can you shed some light on that? What it's like to create an event like this?
Sure. So it's a funny. I've got my phone open with my notes. My original notes for this I wrote apparently on the 22nd of March. Is when I first started like writing notes for it, and obviously it doesn't take that long. But I was like, I just wanted to sort of, the main thing for me was trying to theorize a fair way to have that form of catch up. And so even before I put anything properly down, it was like a long time of just thinking of the best ways to handle that. And then creating the board, honestly, is not too bad. I literally just pulled up like the collection log or something and just went through all of the bosses on there because there's so many bosses now in the game. You're not like trying to find things. It's more like you're trying to decide which bosses to exclude, which is really nice. It's a lot easier than it used to be in that sense, trying to find good tiles to create. And then the actual like creating the spreadsheet was a bit of a ball ache. It's a bit of a complicated thing to create. It probably spent far too long actually creating the spreadsheet. Probably probably almost 10 hours of time just creating the spreadsheet for it
Holy crap.
to track it. Yeah, and then testing it. But it's like I kind of enjoy that sort of thing. It's like a nice little project. Just spend a few evenings on it, and yeah, it just makes it all easier in the end when you have something that just automatically updates and keeps tracks of everyone points, and it's a lot easier like that. So I think the time investment to that is worth it. I can't give you a total time figure on it all. I wouldn't know. There's no way to track it, but
Fair
if I had to
enough.
guess, probably getting around 20 hours in total, but not that crazy.
Gotcha. So this was the first time TDD has included like a side challenge that could give like some of the like lower point teams like an advantage or an easier way to to unlock some of the like easy tiles that I had mentioned previously. Whose idea was this? Was this a Juan original idea, or did you just get some feedback in the previous bingos?
So the concept for me, it was definitely originally my concept in the sense that I think I remember when I first put that post in the clan chat, I was like, I've been on bingos where it's been clear who the winner's going to be after a couple of days, and I've been on other bingos where it literally came down to the other team who came second had a purple at the very end of the raid, and if they'd got a ward, they would have won and beaten us. Like that's how close it was, and like the second one was so much more enjoyable. So I wanted to try and think of some sort of way to fairly, engineer that sort of scenario and make it so that the teams were closer than they might otherwise be without it being too unfair. And it was tricky to think of it. Originally, the idea was like you could do curses. I don't know how I was quite going to do it, but like one team could get cursed potentially if they're too far ahead. They're not able to use, let's say, they can't use mega rares or something like that for a day or whatever. That sort of idea. And then I put that out and got a lot of feedback back on it that it wasn't going to really work. It wouldn't be too fair for like Iron Men. It would just be a bit too restrictive, a bit too difficult to enforce and do. And then the more I thought about it, I was like, I really didn't want it to just be, okay, this team is far ahead or this team is far behind and therefore they get a bonus. I wanted there to be that sort of side challenge in between it, that level of skill that differentiates it. So even some of the harder challenges people were doing because they were good enough to do it. But it was more like the requirement to do it was, or the skill level needed to do it would just be easier for low down teams. And because we got such a wide range of players, that would mean more of their players could do it. They could get more coins. And I think it works pretty well. The feedback's relatively positive, like in general. The idea of like having catch up, most people seem to think it was a good idea, and people seem quite keen to have something like that potentially in future events. The balancing was quite difficult. I try my hardest to be as unbiased, impartial as possible as I can be. It's like I didn't want to go ahead and test any of these things. So I didn't want to go and see like, okay, how difficult is this for the first place team? How difficult is the last place team? Because then I'd be like, okay, I've got an unfair advantage because I wanted to compete myself. So that made it
Yes.
really difficult to balance the challenges. Like I think some of them were decently balanced. Like my favorite had to be the fire cape one. That was the one that like that was the first thing that when I thought of doing this, that was the thing that like sort of motivated me to do it. I was
Dude,
like
I
some sort of challenge
liked I
about
liked that melee fire
going
cape one. I'll be honest, it took
on.
me quite a few attempts to do it. I just misclick and then get meleeed by the major towards the end
Yeah,
and didn't have enough supplies, but it was really fun doing it though.
no, I think that was definitely like the best idea in terms of the ones because it just scaled so perfectly. But then I was like, I didn't want every challenge to just be that, and then you're really limited with those sort of things that you can scale like that in old school RuneScape. It's like a lot of the bosses are relatively easy, one and done, or they're like raids and it takes a long time, and the team content. And I wanted to try and find some way to do it. I like the Fasani's Nightmare one without being able to use switches as well, because I was like, you can melee the pillars. It kind of sucks, but you can, and so it just makes it a bit more difficult. And I really wanted to push people to do things they hadn't tried before. So again, the melee fire cape, the Doom, it just came like Doom had just come out, so I was like, obviously gonna put something in there for Doom, try and get people to go try Doom. For Sani's Nightmare, I know a lot of people, in fact, me included, did that challenge. I had 5 KC previously for the Elite CA or something, and
Yeah,
I was
that
like, okay, that actually I quite enjoyed it. I was like, I'm going back. And I ended up doing another 50 KC or something in the bingo and got the Inquisitor chess piece or something.
Yeah, that's one of the challenges I wish I had more time to do. That one happened to fall in a time where I wasn't able to play very much, so I had like an hour that I could contribute towards the bingo during that side challenge, and I'm like, I haven't even stepped foot in Fosani's. I'm gonna just use that
Yeah,
time elsewhere. But it was a very
and
nice one.
that was the other thing with it as well. It was like the question of trying to be, is it worth my time to go and do this? Because I'd roughly valued 5 coins in my head were about 2 hours worth of time saved, roughly. So, like, theoretically, if it took you less than 2 hours to do the challenge, you should do it. But it was like, especially like the fight caves one, for example, it was like if it's going to take you multiple attempts, then are you going to actually save time by doing it? And yeah, I don't know. I find the CAs in the game quite boring. Um, So like I wanted to try and think of something that people like be able to like theory craft a few like different setups for and stuff like that. Again, especially that fire case one, it's like if you've only got 3 inventory spaces or whatever it is, what are you taking to get you through this? I was like, that's like a fun idea. Um, and yeah, I think it went well. I mean, the Hello to Poker one was maybe a bit controversial. People did not like the agility level requirement, and like that's fair. When I first came up with it, literally, I have written in my notes it was going to be complete 4 or 5 was going to be the easiest one, and then it would just go up by 30 seconds of a requirement for each place. And then only after a while did I even realize that Hunter's Poker had a agility requirement because I was like, you just being maxed, you just completely forget about skill level requirements. So it's like I tried to tame it down a little bit, but you know, it's tough. And like I again just I wanted to get people to try Hunter's Poker because it is quite fun and satisfying once you do a little bit of it. But yeah, maybe a bit of a miss on that one.
Yeah. I can definitely say you'll want to watch some of the interviews. We touched on that part a little bit
I
as
bet.
well.
I bet. I know quite a few people had strong opinions on that one. But it's fine. Feedback is always good and always welcome, and mistakes are gonna happen, so just gotta try and learn from it and make it a bit better next time.
Yep. All right, moving on. I know in previous events, the event host would like step back and just only moderate the event and not participate. But this bingo, you were actually a participant in it as well. What was it like balancing moderation and still trying to grind out things for your team and try to keep an unbiased look on things?
Uh, so balancing the moderation wasn't most of the time wasn't too bad. I mean, the thing about having spent all that time on the spreadsheet is that then it keeps track of it for me, so I don't have to, as long as the spreadsheet gets updated, which is relatively quick and easy to do, then I don't have to go count points and keep records. So that helps a lot. Um, but yeah, the bad thing about like timing for me was those side challenges. Yeah, just doing that. That probably took like 2 hours of time each time that I eat every 2 days to do just one of those. And that was 2 hours where I was like, because there wasn't much AFK content in this bingo, I was just not doing the bingo. So that kind of took some time away. But I think that was worth it. I don't mind doing that. And yeah, playing myself, I mean, I try to be as unbiased and as impartial as possible. I mean, it's never completely possible because unconscious bias and stuff like that. But I think I did okay at that area, and you know, part part of that was a problem because we had like the people needing to sub in because people were missing, and it took a week to get the people subbed in, and I didn't want to jump and do anything because I've never done that before. We never had like player sub in before, and I didn't want it to be unfair, and I was on one of the teams that had the people subbing in, so I was like, really didn't want to go ahead and just be like, okay, this person's subbing in for this person, because then it could be quite unfair if I'm getting an advantage from that. So yeah, it's it's obviously not ideal. It would be better if you had someone who's just there for education, but I don't know. I want to compete as well. It's like I live for that sort of stuff. It's so fun to do these sort of events. And I think I balanced it decently well. And I don't know. I wouldn't have the same motivation to make and like manage these events if I wasn't also competing. Like
It's very true.
the fun of doing it is then knowing, okay, so I'm gonna have to do this, and it's like bingos are great, and we don't do that many of them because they take up so much time and so much effort. So like missing one would be shit, really. Excuse the language.
No, you're fine. I get to move on to the next question. If you have covered everything you wanted to say on that one, I just want to make sure I don't want to cut you off.
Yeah, go for it.
All right. Lastly, I know that you had posted a survey to receive some feedback after the event was done. Is there any main like things that you can take away from that, or some feedback you received that you were a little interested in? I'm curious what the
So
yeah go.
people don't seem to like Zolcano, funnily enough. So that's a lesson learned, I think. So a bit of context around that one as well. We had it so you could only do any group content with your own team, and that was good for some things. But I think there's some areas, and particularly some people like group Ironman, for example, where that's a bit difficult. And Volcano was definitely one of those areas. I don't think too many people wanted to do it, and a lot of people hated doing it. So I think in the future, if we did have Volcano again, we'd have it so that you can do it with anyone, and it'd be on like a mass world or something like that. Or we just might not even have Volcano at all. But then again, it's like some people liked it. Some people were saying it was a nice break from like sweaty PVM because you can just be a bit more chill there.
Yeah, our team enjoyed Volcano. We got it done in 30 minutes.
Yeah. Our team did not get it done in 30 minutes, and let me tell you, there were some raging incidents going on during Volcano. It
Yeah, you
was
were
the
on
source of a lot of pain.
you're on Trout's team, correct?
Yes, I'm sure Trout has said some
yeah.
wonderful things about it.
I can't wait for you to see that.
I'm looking forward to it. But yeah, I mean, the feedback was generally quite positive. One thing, like we had it so that pets auto-completed tiles, which I thought wouldn't be too big of a deal. Little did I know everyone was going to get spooned pets left, right, and center.
Oh my god, the first day there was like 13 pets.
There were 3 omelets in the same day, which obviously the omelet didn't count for anything, but it's just insane. Like everyone was getting pets this bingo. So that had a much larger impact than I expected, and therefore I think people felt that that was overly too strong, which I think is probably fair. I do like having it because in previous bingos you'd be like, okay, I got a pet, cool, but that doesn't really help with anything. It kind of sucked a little bit to get the rarest thing and didn't help. I really wanted to just be there as like, say you go in 50 hours dry at next or something, it's like, there's a drop there that you can get and it completes the tile no matter what. I was like, that's kind of just like a cool sort of motivator to keep going. And yeah, that was good. Some people wanted to see things like skilling tiles, which I don't really know about. I feel like generally more people want to just do PVM and want to focus on PVM. A lot of people are maxed and don't want to skill, or a lot of people would have 99 in those skills and they don't want to do those specific skills. Say if there was like a get 500 gain mining XP or something like that, a lot of people wouldn't want to do that. So I don't know. I feel like it's a lot easier to just put PVM content on there and have it as a PVM focused sort of thing. Although it does mean like people do just have to just do PVM, and it does get a bit much after a while. But part of the course, really. Some people wanted like TMs and hard mode top. I'd much rather have those as just sort of optional things that you might want to do to improve your purple chances in certain areas, like. Obviously, hard mode Tob gives a better chance at like Scythe and the Tob weapons rather than like an Avernic. So I'd much rather have that as like an optional thing rather than mandating it. I think that's a lot more like noob friendly and stuff like that. Um, just having a look the length of it maybe. Some people thought the bingo was a bit too long, which I get. Um, Typically in the past they've been 2 weekends with a work week in between, so like 9 days roughly. And I touched on this in the feedback, but it's like you either do that. People like it if they start on a weekend, and people like it if they end on the weekend. So you have that vibe when you start of everyone's together on the weekend, and at the end you're like pushing for that last little thing maybe. So you've either got the choice of doing the 1 week, 9 days sort of event, or you stretch it out to 2 weeks, so you can still have it start and end on a weekend. And there's not much in between. So it is. I feel like the perfect length would be somewhere in between those two. So it's kind of impossible to satisfy everyone with it. Um, but I get it. It just is what it is. Maybe the next one we do will be shorter, and we'll just oscillate it or something like that. Long, short, long, short.
Yeah, the one thing I can personally say about the short, like say 3 day bingos in like a weekend, it highly encourages players just to never log out. Like,
Yep.
I was with Gizzy and we did a 3 day bingo in another Discord, and
Yes, I watched that one.
there was literally a team that had like 4 or 5 players that got 3 hours of sleep in a what
Yep.
would have been like 70-hour period or whatever, and I'm just like, I don't know. I think that's just a little unhealthy, and you
No.
can't expect that out of people.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I think having something like that means, I took a day off because I wasn't feeling great. I took like the fourth or fifth day off or something like that. At that point, I was number one in EHP, and I was like, I don't feel so good, so I'm just gonna take this day off and not think about RuneScape and just relax for a bit. And I came back the next day feeling a lot better. Um, like I didn't drop everything of my personal life to just play RuneScape, so I was still like seeing friends, doing stuff like that because I knew that there's such a long period of time that you have that flexibility. Whereas if it is shorter, you do feel a bit obligated to just chop everything else, which can be difficult. Like it's a bit more inclusive to people to have a more a larger time scale, a bit flexible. And again, if someone's not available for a week, it's not as big of a deal as if it were just a 1 week event.
Very true.
Uh,
Well, I
yeah.
just want to say thank you again for the event. I'm not trying to cut you off. I think you kind of summed up just about everything that we needed summed up for this bingo.
Oh, one more thing.
Oh,
I made a mistake by not including time zones in the sign up form. That is something that we've learned from previous events, and I should have done that. That was just a bad mistake because I do feel like
yep.
having people on the same time zone is a massive help. So yeah, uh, that's another point. That is duly noted.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, most of our team, we were either West Coast or East Coast, and we only had a couple GMTers, which, like, during the weekends, it's not as big of a deal, but during the week, we had somebody that was like GMT time zone, and we were all at work, and they're like, well, I can't do a lot of this content myself, but there's nobody else
Yes.
to do it with, so
Yeah, it's
yeah.
definitely the majority of the clan nowadays is US sort of time zones. So it is a lot more difficult for, us EU lot to to do group content sometimes with limited numbers of people. So I don't know. We did at some point in the past an EU versus US event. Maybe we'll have to do something like that again. Although you guys have got way more people than us, but we'll figure something out maybe.
Limit it to a certain number of people, maybe, so it's like the same amount of players, you know?
Yeah, yeah, we could do something like that. Would be
Awesome.
fun.
Well, Juan, thank you very much for this interview. I appreciate it. I look forward to doing more of your events in the future. Is there any final takeaway you want to give people?
Yeah, I'll just say in general, people were like giving loads of feedback during it, like especially about things that they didn't like or didn't agree with and stuff, and they'll be like they were like being really cautious, like I'm sorry, it's like, I don't really care. I got thick skin. I think any feedback is always good feedback, and we should always be listening to people to try and make these events a little bit better. So yeah, please don't worry about that. You did not hurt my opinion or my feelings. I love hearing people get passionate about this sort of stuff because I'm passionate about it too. So yeah.
All
Cool.
right. Thank you.